Hello again, this is Mr. Darby, and today we're going to talk about oil pastels. Now, oil pastels are a great thing to use. Oil pastels can be applied pretty much to almost any surface: acrylic, oil, watercolor, paper, canvas. Great medium. I love these things. Very interesting. They are a drawing medium, but when you finish the drawing, we refer to it as a painting. It's kind of interesting how that goes. So I have a couple of chosen oil pastels, and I have a paper towel here. What's great about the paper towel and why you need that when you do oil pastels is, let's see, we grab some dirty oil pastels here on my case here. So we have this lovely pink one, nice and dirty here. So you can see that in the camera how dirty that is. We just put this in the paper towel in there, squeeze, don't really squeeze too hard, and I just clean that out. And the reason why you want to start your piece with clean oil pastel, because if you don't, it's going to leave that residue on your picture. So if you're making a painting and you don't want, and purple's not on there or whatever color's not on there, it's gonna, if you don't clean it, it's gonna end up being on there and it's not gonna look right. So moving on up, what we're gonna do is talk about a couple different techniques, and then we're gonna pause the video real quick, and then I'll come back and show you how to draw something specific. So let's start off with learning about this blending thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to take yellow, and I'm going to put a soft pressure on this yellow here. And it's very important to realize I am working on this grayish blue paper. And remember, whatever paper or item you're using also plays into the how bright or how dark an image is going to be. So then I'm also going to put some green. Yep, we're going to put some green right here. I'm going to go from this side, I'm going to blend it over there. Alright, and then I'm going to take my finger here and just blend that over there. So this is basically blending. You can go either way. We could try that again. We could use some yellow, and then we could use some red, and then we could take our finger here and blend the two together. Just pull from one side to the other. And you can of course blend like that. There's also this thing called short stroke and long stroke. So let's say we use this yellow ochre, and we're going to use yellow ochre, and we're going to use this olive brown. So short stroke would be exactly that, short strokes. And then long and short, and then you basically fill. You keep going back with these short strokes and try to fill the paper and covering up all of the paper using these two colors, or if you wanted to, we could probably add in fourth color or fifth color rather, and that's short stroke. So let's say we had grass, or we had some sort of texture, fur, something. We could do something like that. Also, let's see if I could zoom in a little bit more. We also have something called long stroke, which is basically the same thing. We go like this. We have our long strokes. Does the exact same thing as before. You're basically trying to fill in the area with color in this fashion, okay? Alright, my favorite way to use oil pastels, my favorite way. Let's talk about layering. And we're going to layer two different squares here. So first, we're going to slide the paper over here. I'm going to put down a swatch, a section here. And I'm holding it fairly loose, kind of by the side here, fairly loose. I'm going to play down. I'm going to go both ways there. And I'm going to kind of fill that in there, but you can still see, I'll bring this in a little bit closer, you can still see the paper through there, okay? I didn't push hard. If I was going to push hard, it'd look more like that. Okay, so you can see there's a difference there. And then, I'm going to take this light green, and I'm going to do the same thing. If I put the light green here, that's a huge difference. So then I'm going to go over the yellow. I'm going to put some pressure, a decent amount of pressure. You don't want to put too much or you'll snap your pastel, which isn't necessarily the end of the world, but if you don't want to snap it, you want to make sure you use a modest amount of pressure. Okay, and then we could take the yellow, try the same thing over the green. And really depend, you'd think it'd be the same, but it's not. It's slightly different. So it's something you definitely need to pay attention to, which order you want to put things on. So let's see if we can turn off the light here. Does that help? So there's a little bit of a difference which order you put things on. So with that in mind, I'm going to move on. And another thing I love to do with oil pastels is you could probably layer quite a few different colors on there. About 3 or 4 before you have a problem. But let's say you made a mistake and you made a big one. So a couple different things. You could use something like a paper clip, or you could use something like a palette knife. Let's say we had this down here, big blue mark, and then we're going to have some red. Okay. Oh, you can't erase that, right? You made a mistake. But what you can do is you could take this palette knife, and lightly scrape it up. Now you're not obviously erasing. See all that on there? You're not really erasing it. But what you're doing is removing the oil, and then when it dries, it will dry, you can go over it. So if you want to go over it with yellow, you're really going to have a problem. It's really not going to get that bright yellow that you wanted. But if you went over it with a different color, it would work. Let's say you don't like this yellow-green where you were. So you can move it off. It's not a perfect fix for every occasion, but sometimes it works. Now let's say we wanted that area to be blue and not green. So I have my dark blue. And it's doing a fairly decent job. So it just really depends on, and this is blue by itself. So it's not too bad. It really just depends on what your mistake is and where it's at, and if you can fix it in that manner. So I think I covered everything I wanted to talk to you about this moment here. Oh yeah, one more thing. I love to layer, and I use multiple colors to layer. So, and I love Fauvism, movement of 1900s, 1906, 1905, right in that area. So what I like to do is I like to use white, peach, and pink. Those colors, any really light color, yellow would even work as well, as a blender. So what I would do, because I like loud, bright, obnoxious colors, what we do, let's say I'm going to use a little bit of light pressure and use some green, and maybe I'll grab light blue here. I'll do that, get some light blue on there, and I'm trying to get this a flesh tone, but I don't want it to look realistic, but I want it to give some sort of color to it. I could use peach, so it's still realistic, but yet slightly different. It really depends. Like the shadows. Shadows aren't black. They're not black. They're blue, green, purple. So this is something I could use for Fauvism, or something I could use in realism. Really depends on how much green I make and so forth. But you have a little bit of that there. Just next time you get a chance, take a look at shadows. What color are those shadows? If you have any more questions, just let me know. I'm going to pause the video, and then I'll come back and we'll draw something a little more precise.